A whole lot of great stuff and a few stark reminders of the growth that has to happen next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 pow.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, how are you? I'm David Locke, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Welcome to Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. We are free and available on all podcasting apps, as well as on YouTube. And thank you for making Locked On your first listen of the day. To the everydayers, you're the best. Thank you for making the network and the show and everything what it is. I cannot thank you enough for that. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. All right, here's what we got. I do have a little late game watch from 2 games last night or yesterday. We'll jump on that quickly to end. We'll preview Phoenix for you at the end of this as well. We'll look at a few plays of video today on the YouTube, but hopefully audio will make that fine for you as well. But the big picture, lots of really, really good stuff and some stark reminders of the growth that we have to have. But the strengths of a bunch of our players are flourishing right now, which is pretty great to see. So let's dig into that. Big picture in the late game loss to Sacramento, we're just seeing some massive progress. The biggest and most obvious massive progress we're seeing right now is on the defensive end. The Jazz had a commitment defensively in that game that I'm not entirely sure we saw last year at all. And the big talking point this year has been to deny shots at the rim. And it's only 2 games into the year, but the Jazz are allowing by far the fewest amount of shots at the rim of any team in the NBA. Now, they played the Clippers, who don't go to the rim much, and they played Sacramento, that don't go to the rim much. So that's beneficial. But the Jazz are by far allowing the fewest shots in the NBA at the rim right now. Only 17, according to Cleaning the Glass, only 17% of opponent shots are at the rim. Again, let me just put this in context. Last year, the Clippers were 21st in the league at rim shots, and Sacramento was 29th, and the opponent tonight, Phoenix, was 30th. So we also have had a nice schedule to line up to do this, but it's still, the level that this is taking place is incredibly high. And this is where this was the #1 defensive emphasis by the Utah Jazz in the offseason, was for guys to play defense, sacrifice their body, be willing to have contact at the rim, deny people from getting to the rim, and they're doing it. They're at a very, very high level. So it is a completely different mindset. And I have a few quibbles about things that happen, but frankly, if you're going to commit at this level to cutting off the rim, you're probably going to give some above the break threes. And late in the game the other night, the Jazz gave Malik Monk 2 or 3 looks that I thought were too good. And I thought they gave Zach LaVine a look that was too good. But if you're committing and your first start of your foundational defense is to take away the rim, then that's what happens. The second one that's taken place in the first 2 games of the year is no runs. The Jazz have not given up any runs. I mean, almost at all. In the Sacramento game, I don't think there was a run bigger than 5 or 6-0 in the entire game by Sacramento. They went on a 12-4 run in the first quarter. Okay, that became 16-6. It's not really we're not talking that 8-0 run. The Kings went on an 8-0 run in the second quarter. And other than that, the Jazz have given up maybe a 10-2 run in the third. They've given up very, very few runs so far. And honestly, what was kind of a signature of the team the last 2 years is that when things went wrong, they fell apart. So the Jazz gave up one 8-2 8-2 run, I think 8-0 run, and one 10-2 run in that Sacramento game. That's it. And that's how on a night where you're just not shooting the ball very well, you stay in the game. Jazz shot 32% from three, 44% overall. Not a particularly good shooting night. Not a particularly good offensive night, frankly. But the Jazz stayed in the game. I mean, the Jazz have had the kind of the best offensive game of anyone in the NBA in their first game, and then they came back to life a little bit. But that's massively different. That's an energy level, commitment, defense, all these other things. And they stayed in the game when not shooting well. That's really different. I don't want to say we never did that last year, but we didn't do it with any regularity, certainly. But like we had 103 offensive rating that night. That's in about the 11th or 12th percentile. We shot the ball at 52% effective field goal percentage. That's below league average. And we turned the ball over 20% of the times. That's a rough night. That's a night where you get run, and we didn't get run. So that's pretty great. And those are the signs where things are just massively different, feel very, very different. And I think it's why you're enjoying watching so much in this. The overall energy and commitment, it all plays into this. And we're very impressive. The last one that deserves a shout out is closing lineup for the Jazz in their first close game of the year included Walter Clayton. That, I think, was a little surprising. Not that the kids got gumption, kids got guts, kid does a lot of really impressive things. He's also not a kid. He's older than every single one of these guys. So maybe not entirely surprising, but telling. I mean, the Jazz closed with Filipowski, Kessler, Markkanen, KeYonte, and Clayton. Bryce came in and out for a few offensive possessions, but Clayton, Sensabaugh subbed out at the 3:19 mark. Filipowski came in, and Clayton closed the game. He's got a real knack. And I keep talking about the crooked box score. He did again the other night. 5 rebounds, 3 assists. He's just making plays. You know, he's going to have to, the shot's got to go down. He was 1 for 3 from 3 the other night, which is just fine. Eventually you got to throw in a 2 for 5, and then you put that all together and you're fine. Then you're 3 for 8 and you're really good. So we'll see on that. Obviously, Ace, the game is super fast for him, and he is struggling. So that was obvious if you watch that game. 0 for 5. Just lots of times on the floor where he's getting corrected. All right, let's talk about some of the good down the stretch. We'll do both. We're going to do the good, and then there were a few kind of stark reminders of what we needed, where we need to get better. And we'll show some video in the second segment today. Keonte has just been terrific. There were 4 plays in the final 7 minutes of this game that were elite. There was a forced possession here or there. Some people wanted to highlight that. Like, I don't think we can ask this kid to be perfect. Like, most NBA players aren't perfect. But he had 4 plays that were just great. Early in the fourth quarter, drive right, pick and roll, open side, over the head, skip pass to Flip in the left corner, and Flip buries the 3. Big time. Gets Dario Saric on a mismatch. Dario Saric can't move. He takes him one-on-one, beats him to the rack, and scores. Maybe the most impressive 2-play sequence of his career, and we'll show this video coming up here. 1:06 left in the ball game. High pick and roll with Kessler is going to be the play. Sabonis has pre-popped out to the right side. It's actually going to be kind of what used to be called the Spain pick and roll. They're going to run a pick and roll, and Lowry's going to set a back pick on Sabonis and pop out. The spacing's messed up on it because Sabonis already pre-popped out. We'll show you this to you, or I will show this to you. He reads it perfectly, bursts with a left-hand drive to the rack, and finishes. A confidence and a belief in the athleticism and the strength and all the things he's worked on coming to fruition right there. And then he takes a charge on the next play. Just terrific. Keonte has been fabulous in the last in the first 2 games of the season. All right, we'll look at a little video. There were 2 or 3 stark reminders of like growth areas and truly like just how young we are. It's next on Locked On Jazz. Monday edition of Locked On Jazz is brought to you by my friends over at Murdoch Chevy. It is that winter kind of time. You can feel it. Right now is the time. Go grab that Chevy truck. Maybe it's the Silverado or the Colorado, whichever one you're looking for. The Silverado is the king. I saw one yesterday parked in the parking lot where I was, and I was just like, oh, that is just an awesome truck. Right now, it is truck month, so the 2026 Chevy Silverado is coming your direction at 2.9 APR and for 72 months, plus a $1,250 Costco executive membership incentive if you're in on that. That's all at truck month right now at Murdoch Hyundai. Also, great deals going on the Chevy Equinox, the great lineups of SUVs, whether it's the Blazer, the Equinox, and then the Silverado EV. They've got the Equinox and the Blazer and the Silverado all in EV. So it's all taking place at Murdoch Chevy. Feel free to text me. Let's get you the VIP treatment that you deserve over at Murdoch Chevy, located in Woods Cross, also located in Logan. Email me at dlock09@gmail.com to get your VIP treatment. Today's show is also brought to you by Monarch. Monarch is like having your own personal CFO. When you start using Monarch's all-in-one personal finance tool, it brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Whether it's 401ks, savings, investments, whatever it might be, Monarch is going to allow you to categorize, organize, see where you're spending. The visual dashboards, the smart tools make it so much easier to understand where your money's going and how to make it work. Don't let this financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarch.com for $50 off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for 50% off your first year. Monarch.com, your personal CFO. Promo code LOCKEDONNBA for 50% off your first year. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. All right. Some other great stuff. So Keonte was great. Kyle Filipowski, 2 minutes left, throws a bounce pass, skip pass to a sprinting Keonte. Another thumbs up to Keonte sprinting the floor. That was gutsy, fabulous, on the mark, an incredible playmaking play. Now let's see if we can look at. Let me see if I can get some video up here for a second, because there was few plays I want to show. The defensive play at the 7-minute mark of this game. This is outstanding. Absolutely outstanding in every way. Schroeder comes up the right side of the floor. They run their patented pick and roll with Sabonis. Kessler pops out exactly as he's supposed to. They're playing 2 bigs. They're playing Saric and Sabonis, which is so common now. So Sensabaugh on the bottom baseline is the roll guy and has to make sure he catches the Sabonis roll so that Kessler can stay engaged and impact the ball. They hit Sabonis on the roll. Sensabaugh's come over beautifully. Sabonis doesn't have a lot of lift, so he immediately turns his back into Sensabaugh to try to get it. Out of the corner, Kessler gets back, but before Kessler can get back, Mihailuk cuts off any pass to Sarge. Sabonis bobbles the ball. Sabonis comes back out to the free throw line, finds Sarge underneath the basket, where the Jazz have lost him, but Sabonis and Sensabaugh both hustle back, engulf him. He passes the corner where Mihailuk is still on him, and then Svi plays his outside right shoulder perfectly, pinning Levine to the corner. There's now 7 on the shot clock. Levine tries to go one-on-one. Mihailuk guards him fabulously. Mihailuk's been very good. If you want winning basketball, Mihailuk's done that so far this year. Levine's now caught her at the basket, bounces it back into Sabonis, who forces up a left-hand shot with the shot clock about to go off, and it forces off rebound Kessler. The amount of different defensive actions that took place right there that the Jazz defended perfectly was just terrific. Just absolutely terrific in so many ways. I wanted to show one or two other plays if I could. Both, I think there's, let's look at two. Let's look at Key missing one and Key getting one, right? And this is kind of where, like I said, it's a stark reminder. Our guys are still growing up. They've got Keys here. Key's going to get it. Kessler has it up top. Key comes to get it. And this is it's a high pick and roll, and we've got to get better at pick and roll stuff. We are, there's some signs of it. There's a Key play tonight or last night, 2 nights ago, where we weren't good. So Key runs this pick and roll, pulls it back out, and now Lowry pops left off the Sensabaugh pin down, and Key misses it. Lowry is your best player, and he's wide open right now. Key's got to find that. And Key instead forces up a not very good shot. Key was awesome. That's a growth moment. That's what I'm saying. There's a bunch of growth. There's also these kind of stark moments where you've got to make a play. Filipowski makes this incredible pass at the 2-minute mark of the game. And at the same time, and we can catch it here, he gets blown by Dennis Schroeder in an open floor situation. Not this one, but later. Here's the Jazz playing defense. Levine buries a 3 or shoots a 3. Here's the rebound, and this is the Filipowski pass. Filipowski has it, and Key sprints from the outside. The defense, it's not a fast break. If you're looking at the screen, the Jazz are generally not running up with a lot of energy. Filipowski's there's 3 guys back, and 5 guys were back in front of the Jazz. Only Clayton was out in front. And Key just literally outruns all of them, and Filipowski finds him on a pass for beautiful play. Like, that's the kind of energy and effort we're seeing. That's absolutely fabulous. And then here's a great read by Key. This is the play I was talking about earlier, where Key does just pretty much everything exactly right. We'll watch the end of the defensive possession, then be able to get into this as the Jazz really, again, D'ing up. Levine makes a tough jumper on the left baseline, one of the key shots of the game. But here come the Jazz, down by 3. Key comes to the front court. It's going to be Kessler's going to set a pick. Lowry's going to come off that pick to pop out on the wing. But Sabonis has pre-jumped this play. He's already hedging out on the Kessler pick. Schroeder's going to get over, and Key reverses direction, goes to the basket, lays it up and in. That is a big-time, gutsy read by Keonte George here. Because if you're just doing the read, you're done. He crosses Schroeder over, and now Lowry is there. Lowry actually pops out. Lowry could have rolled too. He engages DeRozan, and then with a left hand and power and explosion off 1 foot, Keonte makes that play. And that is also why I keep believing in Keonte. There just aren't that many guys who can make that play. And then Key takes a charge on the next end of things. There's also some plays in here which, honestly, if you look at it, some of the mistakes that got made, Walker's got to grab the rebound. Right? He's got the ball in his hands to win the game. He's got to grab the rebound. At the same time, at the 9:45 mark of the fourth quarter, Nurkic's got to grab a rebound that Sabonis takes away from him, that kicks out to Monk for a 3-point play. There's a turnover on the Walker Kessler, Keonte George pick and roll with about 3:30 left. And this is where I say it's a stark reminder. If you remember, last year, Walker on pick and rolls ranked 69th out of 71 bigs in efficiency on a pick and roll. And Walker's last year on Walker on pick and rolls was 0.87. So far this year, he's 0.94. So way better. From 0.87 to 0.94. He's in the middle of the pack right now. He's like 57th percentile. So it's super. We're seeing growth. But on that big play, boy, were they clunky. And we're running the second fewest pick and rolls of anyone in the NBA. Miami has completely abandoned running the pick and roll. We're only running 44 pick and rolls a game. Miami's running 22 pick and rolls a game. They've completely abandoned the pick and roll as part of their offense. And which is interesting because Spoelstra is a trendsetter, so let's keep an eye on this. But we're running the second fewest pick and rolls of anyone in the league. That's fine. We run 2 times more off-ball screens than anyone. We run a different system. I admire that. It's still the easy play. And frankly, if you just watched a bunch of the plays I showed you, late in the game, you end up in pick and roll. You can run all this other stuff, but they play it and they switch it and they bang it, blow it up, and you end up in a pick and roll. You've got to have a good pick and roll game. So there it was late in the game. We're playing pick and roll, and Key and Walker turn it over. They've just got to find that. That was, as I said, some stark reminders. Kyle Filipowski last year. Isolation defense. Out of 190, I think he ranked 168th. 1.08 points per possession. It's not good. Schroeder went and found him, blew right by him. That pass is amazing. His off at 3 in the corner was great. He's doing a bunch of great stuff. He's got to find a way to play defensively in space. Walker's got to find a way to be a good enough pick setter and a pick and roll big. These are things that over the course of the year we have to see. I thought Clayton was really good. I thought Clayton gave Monk too much space on 2 threes. I think Clayton's got to learn. He's 6'2". He's small. He's not impacting shooting windows. These guys can really shoot it. He's got to get out to the ball. Got to get out to the ball. I thought Bryce gave Levine too much space. Got to realize this guy shot 45% from 3 last year, is the best 3-point shooter in the NBA last year, both off the bounce and catch and shoot. Got to get to him. I thought Bryce has played better defensively. And then on the last play of the game, we had utter panic. On the last inbound play of the game, it's a long developing play, but Lowry's supposed to pop to the top. He's actually pretty open. Key looked at the clock, saw that it was getting low, sprinted to the ball to be a bailout, kind of blew up the play. Okay, that's fine. Again, you're learning. That's a part of it. And this is exactly what we want. We're seeing some really great signs and some really big growth, and then we're seeing some of the warts and issues of youth, and we're seeing some of the warts of our game, the players' games that have to develop. So that's pretty great. Those are the things that, to me, are exciting, that we're watching and make this season awesome. And if they play as hard in defense as they are, this is going to be a super fun 6 months, 7 months. All right, we'll preview the Phoenix Suns and some late game watch as we continue. Is there something wrong with Devin Booker? Maybe. Next on Locked On Jazz. Today's show is brought to you in part by Game Time. Game Time is the official ticketing app of Locked On, and Game Time is giving you the opportunity to get $20 off your first purchase with the promo code Locked On NBA. So basketball season is obviously here. Nothing beats being in the arena. So getting tickets can be a headache, but waiting in queues, surprise fees, all gone with Game Time. The app that gives the fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets, fast and easy and stress-free. Their zone deals are game changers. You pick the section. Game Time picks you your seats. You save big. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets for Game Time. Take the guesswork out of concerts. Take the guesswork out of NFL. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. That's $20 off your first purchase with the promo code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKED NBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel's the official sportsbook of Locked On. Go to FanDuel.com to get the latest on everything going on with the NBA being back. No better place to get in the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game and want to ride a hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into same-game parlays for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps everything exciting, keeps every game riveting, especially when your team's making the late push. So right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Locked On. And the FanDuel Sportsbook lines for tonight in the NBA. There's a little NFL stuff going on. There's a little Major League Baseball. It's a sports. Everybody's playing today. Jazz tonight are a 1.5 point underdog to the Phoenix Suns. Thought this could be a night where we could be favored. Interesting games tonight. Denver's got Minnesota, but maybe no Anthony Edwards in that one. He's left with a hamstring. Warriors are 8.5 point favorite over Memphis, and Portland is a 2.5 point favorite in LA, who do not have Luka or LeBron, but they have the hottest pick and roll player in the NBA in Austin Reeves right now. That's all at FanDuel.com. All right, the Phoenix Suns won their first game against Sacramento. They went down 20, and then they came back to win. And they have made a bad habit of going down 20 because in their next game, they got blown out. And then against the Clippers, and that might have been the Jazz fault because they got a Clipper team that was ready and focused and lost 129-102. And then they played Denver and lost 133-111. So Phoenix is off to a little bit of a rocky start with that one good win on the year. I don't know what people really expected from Phoenix in that sense, because of the fact that, they lost Durant, they lost Beal, whatever that means. But they went down 20 for the first time against Denver at the 7:52 mark of the third quarter. And then they went down 20 against the Clippers as well fairly quickly. So they have really been playing on the wrong side of the score in most of their games. They be playing their third game in 4 nights as well. They're obviously led by Devin Booker, but I got to tell you, it looks to me, and some of the Booker's got some interesting numbers right now. It's early in the year, and I don't want to make too big a deal out of this, but I'm just going to share with you what the data says, and then you can decide what you think. So first thing, Booker on the pick and roll right now is averaging 0.81 points per possession. It's one of the worst rates of anyone in the league. So whether it's Mark Williams was a terrible pick and roll big in Charlotte, worth noting, he was 86th out of 90. He and Walker Kessler were two of the worst pick and roll bigs in the NBA last year. And so maybe having Mark Williams is not helping Devin Booker all, because Devin Booker, who last year was 1.00 for the 9th most pick and rolls in the 70th percentile, is now 0.81. Devin Booker last year in isolation was 1.12, fourth best of the top 60 isolation players in the NBA. He's gone from 1.12 to 0.88. In the first quarter of games, Devin Booker is shooting 43% and 33% from three. In the second half, he's shooting 67%. Here's an interesting one. When trailing by 10 or more this year, which has been a lot for them, Devin Booker is 16 of 26, 62% shooting. When the game has been within 5 points, not only has Devin Booker not shot very much, he's been quiet, he's only shot 40%. So interesting. They're a heavy pick and roll team. They're running about the 7th most amount of pick and rolls of anyone in the NBA. They do not get to the rim. We have been denying the rim incredibly. They're only taking 25% of their shots at the rim. So this is a great opportunity for us to continue to kind of deny the rim. They're taking 45% of their shots as threes. They have done a really good job of taking away corner threes in their opening 3 games. I don't know if that's because of who they played or what, but it's worth kind of keeping an eye on of whether we get corner threes or not. And then the other one is whether we can jump on them. I mean, I do think there's something in the fact that this team has, by the 7-minute mark of the third quarter of each of their games, at some point they had already trailed by 20. So I don't think this is a confident bunch with a first-year head coach and Jordan Ott, who's not feeling great about themselves. And so I think to some level, if we're playing with a little confidence in front of the home crowd, feeling good about ourselves in the last 2 games, can we jump on them? That would be interesting. They trailed by 20 against Sacramento at the 2:25 mark of the second quarter. They trailed at the 11-minute mark of the third quarter by 20 against the Clippers, and they trailed by 20 at the 7:52 mark of the third quarter against Denver. So this team's struggling. Phoenix and Boston, early indicators, might be battlers for the tank in an incredible draft class. But I don't know Phoenix. I don't actually know if Phoenix has their draft pick, and I don't know if Denver, I don't know if actually either of those have their draft pick right now. So let me retract that comment quickly before let me check those things. Probably don't have time to do it right now. I'll try. But the fact is that those two teams both look early on here as though this is going to be a much bigger struggle than I think they realized. Phoenix pick is going to Memphis in some weird deal that involves the two middle picks of Memphis, Orlando, and Phoenix and Washington. But and there's some protections. I'll have to get an understanding of it tonight. I did not follow that quickly for you. And Boston, I think Boston has their draft capital. And I think Boston has their draft capital, and Boston's not going to win games this year. All right, late game watch quickly. Watched 2-1 games last night at the end. Milwaukee versus Cleveland. Donovan was incredible. Donovan hit a shot over Giannis. It was crazy. They're playing against Milwaukee's zone, and Donovan goes in the middle of the zone, hits a floater, and then Donovan goes one-on-one. I mean, he was great. Holy smokes, was he great. And clutch in a way that he hasn't always been. Milwaukee was playing a lot of zone. Giannis is basically playing point guard. Milwaukee's got a new kid, Ryan Rollins, who's I think in his second or third year, who's playing a lot of point guard, getting a lot of time, was actually pretty impressive. Milwaukee's running Giannis free throw isolation the way Philadelphia used to run Embiid free throw line isolation, and the way that San Antonio is running Wemby isolation, and it's at the free throw line. I don't know what you do with it. I don't know how you guard that. I mean, it's what we tried with Lowry and just can't quite get him to do. Indiana played Minnesota, no Ant, so they had tried Bones Highland point guard. He throws it over twice. Then they have to then they try DiVincenzo at point guard, and he can't get it going. So then they bring in Conley for a few minutes, but then they pull Conley and bring in Jalen Clark. I mean, Mike Conley, they are not doing much with him. Without Ant, they go to Randall, and Randall plays pure isolation, which was pretty impressive. Indiana just super limited. They finished with Ben Shepherd, Pascal Siakam, Tony Bradley, Aaron Nesmith, and then a kid named Ray J. Dennis out of Baylor, who played a lot and actually looked pretty good. Shepherd really struggled late, made a bunch of bad plays. He's probably not ready for that kind of minutes. By the way, Rudy Gobert's completely clean-shaven on his head. And then maybe the key play of the night, what's interesting, as much as Mike Conley's kind of drifting out of this is what's so interesting, is here it was, big-time play, big-time moment, and Mike Conley hits a pick and roll with Rudy Gobert, and Rudy gets fouled and goes to the free throw line, and Mike Conley totally made the play. So no Ant, so it's a little weird, but I will say Minnesota's point guard issue is real. Two other teams I've watched a little bit this year that I was not very high on to start the year that I don't think look very good are both Houston and Orlando. They were kind of everyone's in picks, and I just can't get it. Reed Shepherd is really struggling. They really need him. And Orlando's offense is just not good enough. Orlando's offense is clunky. They came out badly on points gained. They have 240 minutes, but they are clunky. And we'll see how that plays out. All right, that's a quick rundown. I got more for you coming up this week. Jazz, Phoenix. Remember, you can watch us on SCG Plus this year. Sync it on the broadcast. You can do that. Audio League Pass, SiriusXM, KSL Sports Radio, and in the arena. Thanks very much. Have a great night. Or great day. Talk to you soon. Now we send the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked On NBA, or check out Locked On NBA on audio with Matt, Hayes, and Wes.